Dear students, you are aware of the different adoption laws which are applicable to our country. The objective of this lecture is to enlighten you with a critical outlook of these laws from a human rights perspective with specific reference to the rights of child. By the end of this lecture, we will reflect upon the need to have a uniform law upon adoption in India. Adoption has been recognized as the best means to rehabilitate a child in need of care and protection. However, it raises several issues due to its fundamental implications upon the child, family, and society in general. These issues also extend to areas such as the best interest of the child following the United Nations Convention on Rights of Child. Let us analyze the laws relating to adoption in India. In our country, adoption laws are governed by personal laws and also secular law on adoption being the Juvenile Justice Act 2000. Thus, there is multiplicity of law relating to adoption in our country. In this lecture, we will look upon whether the adoption laws in India are adequate enough to protect the rights of child. By the end of this lecture, we will also introspect whether we need different laws on this aspect and think of a uniform secular law on adoption. Before we look into the legal aspects, we will understand what adoption conceptually means. In simple words, adoption is a process by which rights of natural parents upon the child is replaced and deemed to have been substituted by the adoptive parents prospectively. The purpose of adoption as understood today is in the light of human rights of the child is to provide not just a shelter but also to have a domestic environment for the complete development of the child. The purpose of adoption understood traditionally contrasts with the present understanding. In India, the practice of adoption that existed in earlier times was out of the natural desire for son as a caretaker as well as the continuance of the family. Thus, preference was given only to adoption of male children, which was prevalent amongst Hindus. This inequality upon gender was removed through appropriate legislative intervention by means of Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act 1956. Through this progressive legislation, the sacramental aspect of adoption recognized by the classical Hindu law was reformed by featuring adoption of a female child. Earlier to HAMA 1956, the position of law was derived from Guardians and Wards Act 1890. This act was passed to honor all adoption in India. This may be regarded as a progressive legislation then, as there was no law as such that facilitate adoptions in India. But the drawback of the law was that it addressed only the society except Hindus. For Hindus, the customary practices of adoption were largely codified. Others had to resort to the Guardians and Wards Act of 1890, and the limitation of this law was that it conferred only guardianship and not parenthood upon the child. The Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act was passed in the year 1956, amending and codifying the laws relating to adoption among Hindus. The traditional Hindu law which identified the sacramental nature of adoption was considered as a religious affair. Historically, adoption in Hindu mythology can be traced back to secure performance of funeral rites and to carry family kinship. It was actually designed to continue the generation. Thus, only adoption of sons was permissible according to the religious perspectives. It was through the HAMA that the gender equality was secured, as the Act does not differentiate in this manner. Thus, the sacramental aspect of adoption was replaced by the human rights. Apart from Hindu law, we do not find any philosophy under other personal laws in India favoring adoption. The Islamic principles are against the concept of adoption as it is not recognized as acceptable according to the teachings of Quran. Among the Indian Christians also, there is no prevailing customs that promote adoption. Now, we will look at Juvenile Justice Act 2000, which is the secular law on this point. The inclusion of adoption in JJ Act was in response to the changing environment of the country's positive response to the rights of child. Even though adoption is not the primary objective, it is referred as a means to rehabilitate the children in need of care and protection. The positive point to be noted here is that this legislation contemplates adoption through child-centric means and not through the perspective of religion. But still, there are many issues and challenges which need to be looked into. We will analyze it in these heads such as analysis of HAMA after the implementation of the JJ Act and the structural deformity of the JJ Act. Thus, we will draw a conclusion on the requirement of a comprehensive secular law relating to adoption through a human rights perspective. In spite of the constitutional mandate for the welfare of the child, we lack the desire to move out of the clutches of personal law in certain matters. The major perspective of adoption under the Hindu personal law is religion and not the concern about the welfare of the child. On the other hand, JJ Act has not addressed the issues that arise in child development and growth in the family environment. Moreover, it is very narrower in its application as it is confined to a child who is delinquent and in need of care and protection. State has a proactive role to play in deciding whether it is safe to leave the child in the home and to rehabilitate with the family, or whether, in the best interest of the child, it is necessary to place a child under the state's custody or foster homes. In the light of this analysis, we may conclude that we do not have an adequate framework of secular law that effectively supports adoption. The pressing need from the United Nations for legislation on adoption, irrespective of religion, has set the ground in India ready for enacting a legislation which will address these issues harmoniously. Let us hope that the law will be framed in the lines of judiciary's recognition of adoption as arising from fundamental rights. Thank you.